to the I Just Want This Done Divorce podcast featuring Rayford Dalton Palmer and Rahul Iyer, everybody. Welcome to the first post-holiday show. What's happening, Rahul?
Hey, what's happening, Rafe?
How you doing? I'm good. We're ready to rock and roll after some R&R over the holidays. Well, a little stressful, of course. So, but let's say Happy New Year, or is it?
Can we still say Happy New Year? It's the 8th. So.
Oh, isn't that Larry David rule? I think you talked about that last year, right?
Yeah. When is it too late to say Happy New Year?
Doesn't he say it's like 3 days or something? Yeah.
Something like that.
So it's too late to say Happy New Year, but we're saying it because you haven't seen us for a week. So we're kind of, this is a retroactive Happy New Year, or as the law says, nunc pro tunc.
Yeah.
The Latin phrase that sounds dirty, but it's not. Ladies and gentlemen, to define nunc pro tunc, old school legal phrase in Latin, that means what, Rahul?
Nunc pro tunc.
If you say it too fast, it sounds like
it's like, you know, it's sort of like it's effective from a previous date. So you're making it effective as of, let's say, you know, you jumping into the nerdy stuff, but
don't get too deep in it though.
I signed something today, but I wanted it signed last week.
Right.
I would say this is nunc pro tunc to January 1st. So our, you know, New Year's greetings are nunc pro tunc to January 1st.
And it's exactly right. And it is a Latin phrase meaning now for then, for all of you Latin scholars out there. I was a Latin scholar in high school and forgot all of it except salve magistra, which means like hi teacher. So anyway, welcome. See, this is entertainment and education. So you're learning something. And you used to say, for example, in court, if something didn't get done at a previous date and the court, for some reason, wanted it backdated, you would say to the judge, I want this entered nunc pro tunc.
Right.
And we're now supposed to not use Latin phrases because that is not kosher anymore. So we would say, judge, enter it retroactively or now for then. So there you go. A little education for you. Okay. So briefly, how was your holiday, Christmas, New Year's situation, Rahul?
You know, it was great. Went up to see some family up in the Twin City area there. It was a nice little R&R, like you said. No, you know, nothing too dramatic by any means, but it was good. It's a nice little bandwidth resetting sort of a few days. So that's nice. You always need that.
For parents, it's always, and I'm a parent of older children. My boys are men now, and my wife's children are 19 and 23. And so, but it's really stressful because people come back and kind of come in your world, and we're empty nesters now. So the college kid comes back and lives with us, and then, you know, the house kind of gets turned upside down because we downsized, and all the kids are hanging out now. And all of a sudden we've got to do all this stuff with them and then get gifts here and all this stuff, which is fun. But there's all the parties and things your people are inviting you to things, which is again, fun, but there's also stress tied into that. And so it's fun, but I'm kind of like glad to be back at work.
Yeah.
It was great to see the kids, but then it's like, okay, go back to school. It's fine. Now we want to get back to business. So anyway, we hope you all had a nice holiday. And for those of you who are on the flip side, January is divorce month. Lawyers, and now the press, I think, invented this, but divorce lawyers have always known this to be a busy month, right, Rahul? And why?
Oh, absolutely.
What has been, tell us about that experience. And it's sort of unique to this business.
Yeah, because nobody wants to, you know, towards the end of the year, really starting right after Halloween.
I agree with you.
You know, you sort of go into, you know, you're headed to Thanksgiving, and then you're heading right after Thanksgiving, a few weeks down the road, you're going to have, you know, whatever holiday parties, etc. And then you're going to then go into Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, and then the New Year, etc. And so nobody really wants to Festivus for the rest of us. So nobody really wants to do anything so drastic during that time. No one wants to sort of rock the boat unless it's like a dire circumstance, etc. So you have every once in a while, you have an outlier who wants to file for divorce before the end of the year, whatever. Doesn't really make any difference unless, you know, except for certain exigent circumstances. But typically people wait for the new year. We're still about a month and a half to like Valentine's Day. And so you're in this sort of like weird like pocket where it's you know, kids are, you know, going back to school, started back to school, things are fresh. People want a new year, new me, you know, so people
Yep.
want to, this is the time to sort of strike. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of why they do it. You know, we should have like a Black Friday, you know, for divorce sort of thing.
Some kind of deal on it.
Yeah, not
But
even a deal, but just like it's ominous, you know, it's Black
oh
Friday.
yeah, right. So the media, I don't know, a few years ago, I've been doing this a long time, and you've been doing it quite a while too, but I've been
Uh-huh.
in this business for 25 years or so. And I don't remember this divorce day, divorce month talk until maybe 5 years ago, something
Yeah.
like that. But it is true. It's very seasonal business. This business slows, new clients slow down, as Rahul said, after Halloween. People still call and talk to us, but they don't want to get started until the new year, which is understandable. Or they
Mhm.
just shelve the whole idea and wait and sort of see how the holidays go. And then we get calls afterwards, and there's a definite spike in people calling the firm and new clients coming in. And then spring is busy, and then it tapers for summer a little bit. It slows down when we get close to like high school graduations, weddings, things of that nature. And then it tends to pick up in midsummer, slows down again for back to school,
Mhm.
and picks up again in the fall. And because many of our clients, most of them, and I probably would venture to guess, many people getting divorced have been married a while and have kids. At least that's our demographic. They've been married
Mhm.
many years, let's call it 10 years, 15 years. They have children, usually like a high schooler and an eighth grader, or a college kid and a high school kid. That's very common. So it kind of, that rhythm is important. So yeah, that's divorce month, and divorce day is the first, they say like the first business day after the new year, you know, where people are really
Mhm.
kind of back to work. And that would have been
Mhm.
Monday this week, I guess. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that's going on. And we wanted to promote a couple of things. Um, we work for STG Divorce Law, one of the premier divorce law firms in Illinois, highly rated across the state and in the Chicago area. We have offices in Chicago and the suburbs, and we represent smart, successful people. We help those people get divorced better. Please reach out and contact us at stglawfirm.com. We're happy to have a consultation with you and talk about your case and see if we can help you. Prenups, postnuptial agreements, divorce, and post decree matters. Following a divorce, if you need something changed, we can help. Please reach out. stglawfirm.com, link in the description. Uh, please, if you like this show, please like, share, and follow, so that we know you like the show and we're doing the right thing. Okay. Later on, we want to tell you something really exciting. We've got a great show today. We're fully loaded, but we want to mention Blaine Anderson, who's known as Dating by Blaine. That's her website. She's a dating coach, and she is awesome. She's now blowing up all over media, both social and conventional media. And she's really fun. She's cool. She has really common sense dating advice that, and she's not a man hater. I know that's like, I, I know that sounds, I'm not trying to sound bad about that, but what I mean is, a lot of advice sort of is like, tough luck, guys. You need to do what the women want. And what I've heard, I've paying attention to Blaine's content now for a long time. We actually met on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, and she has really no nonsense advice for men and women. And she's also hip and cool, which makes it fun. And she's got a great, funny way of delivering this stuff. So we're
Mhm.
really excited to have her on the show next week. It's going to be a great discussion, conversation about dating, dating after divorce, that kind of stuff, and her experiences. And she has funny stories to share. So don't miss that one. We'll live stream that. She's going to be on at 11 o'clock Central Time a week from today, Thursday, January 15th, 11 Central. Our show will start 10:30-ish probably, and then she'll be on at 11. So, and then the following week, as always, the recorded episode will drop and be available on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. We will be streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X. So stories today, Nicole Kidman, Keith Urban divorce, Rachel Zoe's new ring. She's got a new jewelry. We're going to talk about it. Dan Gilbert of Rocket Mortgage fame, the guy who rebuilt Detroit and owns half of Detroit, he got divorced. And we've got scoop on that. A ChatGPT marriage oops. we're going to talk about, and divorce month tips. So we told you, hey, it's divorce month. If you're getting divorced, what are some tips? We got listener questions and our answers. So let's get ready to roll here. Rahul, we got to talk about this Nicole Kidman story.
Yeah. So,
and, you know, we mentioned it before. The settlement we talked about before, right?
we did. Yeah. And so, you know, it's we talked about how their 20-year marriage ends amicably. The 280 million in assets were divided.
Right.
You know, and we even pulled up a marital settlement agreement, an MSA that we found online that appeared to be signed and appeared to be representative of what they had signed. So I know you have an update on this here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got, first of all, I want to congratulate them for the excellent job getting it done. Yes, awesome. And then that's from our live studio audience, by the way, the realistic sound effects.
They're all sitting back here.
All two of them out of the, yeah. According to, this is a report from, we got the story from Daily Beast. All the links are in the show notes as always, so you can check out these stories. So credit to Daily Beast for this one. Nicole Kidman's final divorce agreement with musician Keith Urban grants her almost full custody of their teen daughters. And we want to talk about that a little bit. A new report from Daily Mail says Kidman will have custody of the two children, 17 and 14, 306 days a year. Somebody was doing the math. And Urban will have him for 59, essentially every other weekend, the article helpfully says. They waived child support and alimony. They split their property per the report, with each party mutually agreeing to divide assets and keep their individual stuff. So we call that a walkaway, right, Rahul? Kind of like,
yeah. Exactly. And I think previously we had mentioned, right. And I think previously we had mentioned that they also had a prenup or premarital agreement, which I'm sure went towards that.
That's right. Well, they did it. We want prenup. They did it. And as the celebs typically do, and it helped them make this a lot easier.
Right.
So the scoop is the one thing we want to talk about, Rahul, let's talk just a little bit about full custody, because we get potential clients contact us and they say, I want full custody, or can you believe she wants full custody? And so what do we say about that?
I typically say that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what full custody is. What does that mean? Oh, well, that means I want the kid to live with me and see the other parent, etc. Well, how's that? I don't know how that's full custody. So it's one of these things that's really permeated the vernacular for people, and I'm not sure where it comes from. Probably just some sort of a notion of what they believe to be fair and right. When you start saying, okay, you want full custody, sounds good. Are you okay with the other parent seeing the kid? Kids. Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. I just want them to live with me. So how frequently can they? Oh, whenever they want, they're good to see the kids. A set schedule, everything. So what's this full custody that you're asking for? Oh, well, I want the kids, home base to be here, blah blah blah. So shock value for full custody doesn't really mean anything, which is why I sort of comically there's no legal definition of full custody.
Right.
In fact, your state might be different. In Illinois, they got rid of the word custody from divorce law. So they've abolished the word custody because the legislature found that people fight about having that label, legal custody. I want legal custody, or I want physical custody of the children. So they said there's nobody gets custody anymore. What happens is, who gets to make decisions for the kids regarding, religion, extracurricular activities, healthcare, education. Do you want to make that together with the other parent, or do you want to make that yourself? I'm happy to make it with the other parent. That's fine.
Right.
Okay, so surprise, you have joint legal custody, so to speak. So I mean,
right. And the thing we get it when you really ask people, you have to ask them operationally.
Exactly.
What does life look like to you with your kids? Are you okay with sharing decision making with your soon-to-be ex? What do you want for parenting time, visitation? And that you're right. And so when you break it down, people talk about something different than when they say full custody. I think there's a desire for control, and like you said, most of the time it's people saying they want the kids to primarily live with them. And they're not expected to understand these definitions. So we back up and say, what are your goals? Like, what do you want parenting time to look like? What do you want decision-making to look like? And sole custody or sole allocation where you have all the decision making, that's quite rare in our experience.
Mhm.
And typically the court ends up ordering joint, or people agree to joint or shared decision making. And even when people have sole decision making, the other person gets parenting time. They see the
Oh
kids
yeah.
quite often. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to address this full custody thing because this is a term the press threw in here, because they
Mhm.
looked at this, they did the math and they said, well, Keith only has them for 60 days ish, and she has them for the rest of the year. And they say, well, she's got almost full custody. Well,
Yeah, I
no,
guess. I
it's
guess if that's
not
how you
really
count it, but it's
right.
not really. There's not a thing. And I mean, it's more of a so like you said, just real quick on that is you want this to be a practical discussion and not a philosophical discussion, right? You don't want it
Right.
to be philosophically, I'd like to have full custody. Well, that's fine, but practically, how's it going to work? Operationally,
Right.
how will how will it work?
So, by
So,
the way, we're not making fun of people who are contacting us with these
no,
questions. It's
no,
understandable that they don't know
of course.
what's involved in this. So the terms they use are just kind of what comes to their mind.
Hmm.
But we want to educate people and help understand what we're really talking about is parenting time, what is known as visitation, and decision-making power. Who's making decisions for the child with school, religion, healthcare,
Hmm.
extracurricular activities. And that's what the court's looking at when it's deciding that stuff, or when people are
Yep.
negotiating those terms.
Hmm.
So next, Rahul, tell us about this. The Dan Gilbert is the Rocket Mortgage guy
Yeah.
divorce. What's the story on that?
So on November 10th, so this is, I mean, this is a couple months old, but I don't think we actually spoke
Yeah.
about this in any level of detail. So Dan Gilbert, like you said, of Rocket Mortgage, and Jennifer Gilbert, his former spouse, divorced on or around Monday, November 10th, roughly right before Thanksgiving. The article here says he appeared on Zoom, answered some yes or no questions about the settlement, and it lasted about 5 minutes. And then they had reached a quote unquote confidential postnuptial agreement for dividing up property and other matters several months before they filed for divorce in September. And, the court signed off on the judgment. So they were married for 30 years. Obviously, he's a billionaire. He essentially, owns like half of Detroit or something, owns the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah,
82% of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah.
right. So billionaire, and then his ex-wife is I think before the divorce even became a billionaire because of some of the corporate holdings that she has, both in Rocket Mortgage as well as other ventures she started and sold or otherwise. So they they finalized this postnuptial agreement in April, and they essentially also in June, Rocket Companies completed a corporate restructuring that redistributed shares in the firm held by RHI, the holding company, majority owned by
Okay.
Gilbert, and then divided up his shares with him keeping 54, her getting 15%, et cetera, et cetera. And then the stock rose 89% in the year.
Wow.
And then there was a $9.4 billion takeover of the mortgage lender, Mr. Cooper, announced in March, acquisition of Redfin, things like
Wow.
that.
Monster. What a monster company.
Right. And so that made Jennifer at the time the ninth richest person in Michigan, worth at least 6.4 billion. And now she's the 39th richest woman in America. Well, I say now, but when
Nice.
this article came out. So they've divided it according to the post-nup. They're going their separate ways with whatever they have. It's confidential, but yeah, very interesting. A post-nup is a prenup. I'm sorry, it's not a prenup. It's different from a prenup. It's
Right.
similar. It's part of the same family. It's a contract that two parties get into to essentially dissolve their marriage. But at least in Illinois, postnups are treated a little differently than prenups are regarding fairness, equity, so on and so forth. And when fairness is determined, is it fair at the time of signing, or is it fair at the time of the actual divorce or settlement?
Right.
Those are some nuances. But yeah, good for them. They did it right.
They did it
Didn't
right.
air out didn't air out their grievances to the public, etc.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah. And they did it right. And they've been married 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of a growing trend in gray divorce, where people are getting divorced at this older age. Their kids are grown. people are realizing people are living a lot longer and healthier lives. And they're getting to a point in their lives where they're saying, let's say in their early 60s, am I going to go 20, 30 more years with this person?
Right.
And I'm not, judging it. I'm not one way or the other. But I think people, well, this is Rafe's theory time. People rush so much through kids and growing up and scrambling to build a career and work and all these things. And all of a sudden the kids are gone and the dust settles and you're like, oh, it's just you and me. And if you haven't spent a lot of time together in the middle, it's like you have to get to know that person all over again at this stage in life. And I think a lot of people do a lot of soul searching when they reach that age and say, what do I really want in my life? Or they find out that what the other person's values are completely out of alignment with their values for that next stage of their life, like how they envision retirement. Or one person wants to keep working and kind of like they're going to die with their boots on, so to speak. And the other person wants to take it easy in Florida. Well, those things are fundamentally incompatible, or maybe. And I think there's a lot of that going on. It wasn't that long ago. I remember when I was a kid, people died in their 60s. I mean, they just did. The 60s, and you said somebody was really old if they made it into their 80s. Well, now it's like pretty common to hear people are dying in their 80s and 90s. It used to be 60s and 70s was when people were dying. And if they made it to 80, 90, that was a big deal. Well, we've had all kinds of medical advances and everything else, which is great. So people are living healthier longer. And I think it's causing people to really think about that stuff. And it's interesting. So
oh yeah,
I think this is in line with that. So next, this one's kind of funny, a little lighter story. Rachel Zoe has a new trend. We were not aware of this trend at the pod. The divorce ring trend with her split from Roger Berman. So Rachel Zoe, this story from Page 6, hard-hitting journalism, committing random acts of journalism all over the place. Rachel Zoe has never been one to shy away from sparkle. For you, if you didn't know her, now you know she doesn't shy away from sparkle. So we're educating you now. The celebrity stylist recently shared a look at the massive 3-stone diamond ring she created to celebrate her split from husband Roger Berman. Let's see. There's a picture of them in the article. By the way, you're welcome to click on this one and look at it. Created with Ring Concierge. Haven't heard of them, but we're willing to accept sponsorships, Ring Concierge. The sparkler features a huge oval center stone flanked by 2 smaller, yet equally impressive, Rahul Iyer, diamonds in the same shape. She's a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills newbie. By the way, this Palm Beach show that my wife Julie and I just watched, totally insane. There's a show that's kind of like Housewives in Palm Beach. It's called like Private Club Palm Beach or something. And normally I can't stand to watch these shows. I was totally riveted over the holidays. We like binge watched the whole thing. Anyway, she always has had a love for diamonds. She gifts all of her employees handpicked, very delicate diamond jewelry for the holidays. Well, I need to get a job with her. So apparently Brooks Nader and Emily Radikowski both similarly traded their engagement rings from their ex-husbands and got eye-catching breakup bling. Say that 3 times fast. So apparently this is the new cool thing, is to get the breakup ring, folks. This tied into our talking about the divorce registry that Rahul talked about last
Yes,
show.
exactly.
Now we're going to go get that ring to celebrate the divorce, I guess.
Don't expect your ex to pay for it, though.
Correct.
I mean, indirectly, maybe.
Out of your half, I guess.
Yeah, indirectly.
So, yeah. So tell us about the Dutch. We have a...
Yes.
Which reminds
well, where do we start about the Dutch?
Where do we start about the Dutch? We have that line from Goldmember, which says, what's his name says, there are 2 things I hate more than anything in this world: people who are intolerant of other cultures and the Dutch. Thank you.
Nice.
All right. So tell us about this. This is a great ChatGPT story, because people now are saying, well, ChatGPT can do my divorce. ChatGPT can do my draft contracts and all that stuff. And we're like, not so fast.
Well, it can get you like halfway there,
Yeah. guess
Too
what?
bad we
It's
don't have a.
sanctioned.
Too bad we don't have a sound clip for halfway. With the
Oh, we're
Bon Jovi.
halfway there. Oh God, I'm gonna write that one down. We got to add that. We do
So
have,
anyway,
we do
yeah.
have a new clip ready for you folks that we haven't deployed yet because we haven't hit the right occasion, but we're saving it up.
We need, we need the right cadence for that one. So
Right, we add to our arsenal every few weeks with
of
some
sound
new
bites.
sound bite. So what we're
okay,
gonna do halfway
so-
there. All right, hold on. I'm
Right.
adding that. Okay, go ahead. Tell us
Okay,
about it.
so DutchNews.nl, so you know it's authentic. It's from the Netherlands. So Dutch couple are not married due to ChatGPT speech fail. So essentially, what happened is that this couple took their wedding vows based on a speech made using AI tool ChatGPT, of course,
Okay.
and the court in Zwolle decided that they have to do it again because the speech did not meet official requirements.
Oh snap!
So, the couple had chosen a friend as their civil registrar, a so-called Inddagsababab, which sounds like some furniture.
God bless you.
It sounds like some furniture you'd buy at IKEA, and so who had
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, of course.
who had then
The
used,
instructions are very simple.
yeah, exactly, right.
When
So
you
the
get your
friend,
Swedish fish.
right, exactly. Oh, you got their food is so good,
It's
and
amazing.
so the friend, the civil registrar, the used ChatGPT to write a speech with a lighter tone. However, unfortunately, the ceremony did not include the mandatory declaration that binds a couple
Oh.
to do their duty to one another as required by their wedded state.
Too
Without
light-
that,
Too
Yep.
light of a tone, as
too
it turns
light.
out.
Without that,
And
the marriage is void.
Oh, they can't nunk pro tunk it. Oh,
They can't
tying
nunk
in
pro
stuff.
tunk it.
Look at
Yeah,
that. That's good
right?
comedy when you tie in the previous thing.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And so the local council discovered the omission later and informed the prosecution office of the mistake, and which then asked the judge to annul their marriage contract. So then the couple had chosen
Wow.
April 19th because it has special significance for them. So this article actually came out on January 6th, but it sounds like this happened last April because
Okay.
it had a special significance to them, and so they protested it, saying, to keep the wedding date, like you said, nunc pro tunc, but the judge refused. The court understands that the marriage date recorded in the certificate is important to the man and the woman, but cannot disregard what is laid down in the law. So
Oh boy.
don't rely too much on ChatGPT, and if you do, make sure you double check.
Yeah, we've got instances every day of lawyers getting in trouble with the court for filing briefs loaded with incorrect citations that ChatGPT or AI tools have fabricated. So you got it. Those tools get better all the time, but they're not ready for prime time in legal, ladies and gentlemen. So be careful.
They're called hallucinations,
right.
and what they do essentially is they give you a case name and a case, citation, which is basically like a reference number for the case that sounds exactly like what you're looking for. It's like, this is incredible, and then a lot of people don't look it up to confirm on a legal sort of search engine, and then it turns out that case doesn't exist.
Right. Surprise.
And it's made up, which is why it probably sounded as accurate as you could.
And the case citation, it looks good. The name looks kind of legit. The site looks right. And but the thing's completely made up. And what's happening now, it's going to another level where now I'm noticing the case names are right. In one of the very earliest instances I remember was reported in the New York Times of hallucinations like a year and a half, 2 years ago in a pleading. Lawyer got in trouble. But now it's getting to a different level of sophistication. The general AI tools are getting better and better at legal, but not quite there yet. So now the case name looks right. The citation is right. You go look at the case, and the thing ChatGPT says the case says is either completely wrong or off enough that it's not correct. It's close, but it's not enough for the court. It's still wrong, and you get in trouble. The other beautiful thing is there have been instances of fabricated facts where the case report has facts in it that have been invented and are not the facts that are actually in the case. So
what do you mean case report? What do you
like if you ask ChatGPT to say, tell me what such and such a case holds, like a case we know in Illinois, for example, it'll give you the correct name, the correct citation, and then it'll tell you that what happened in the case and the holding, but it's getting that stuff wrong.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's sort of this new level of sophistication where it's close but no cigar. And That's really insidious because if you don't read the actual case, it looks really convincing. Like it
Right.
looks very good. And if you just glance at the site and you say, oh, yeah, okay, I Googled the case. That is the correct case name. That is the correct case number. But you find out, and it's a divorce case, you just glance at it, but you don't look at the gist or the actual meat of the thing and find out, oh, it fabricated the whole thing, like the body of it. So it's getting to a new level of danger, you might say, for lawyers, and well,
Gotta
lawyers
be
shouldn't
real
be using
careful.
it for that.
Yeah. Make sure it's make sure you have. If you don't want to do it yourself, give it to somebody at your firm or someone to comb through the brief or whatever you're writing, the pleading.
Yep.
Check all the citations and make sure to not just make sure the citations exist, but rather it
Read the
says
case.
exactly what the case said. The case says exactly
Yep.
what it says, and if it doesn't, tell your whoever's helping you to get a case that actually does say it.
Right.
So it's not like you throw the whole thing away. Just do your research.
Yeah.
You know,
And use multiple sources. Check the original source so you know you're
Yep,
looking at the
yep,
right stuff.
Yep.
The legal tools are getting excellent and are going to be reliable, like Westlaw's stuff, Lexis, Supio. But if you're looking at, or Harvey, but if you're looking at general AI tools like Grok, Gemini, ChatGPT, and we're not knocking them, but they're not ready for prime time in legal.
No,
So
you gotta.
if you're representing yourself, please be very, very careful. You will get stung, and
You will get stung.
Court will sanction you.
And they're not going to look at you and say, "Oh, but you're self-represented." You know,
right.
They hold you to the same standard as they hold a lawyer.
Yeah.
So be careful. Be careful.
So let's talk about divorce month.
So let me ask you, Rafe. So let me ask you this. So we talked about how you mentioned at the beginning, January is divorce month. We're right in the thick of things now, first weekend. What do you do in divorce month? You know, do you have some tips and tricks for people who are thinking about filing for divorce now that we're in divorce month, the holidays are behind them, and what should they do? What are the first steps for people who are just contemplating divorce? Nothing's happened yet. You know, what would you say?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I want to share my experience from handling a lot of cases over the years. And I was interviewed by Lisa Dent on WGN Radio 720 earlier this week on these issues. And she asked me this, and I thought it'd be good to talk about on the show. Number one, don't say the D word until you're ready to go. You know, avoid saying the D word, divorce, or I want a divorce, until you've talked to lawyers and you're prepared. The D word makes the saying, I want a divorce, I'm thinking about divorce, whatever, it triggers people and they will go do stuff that you don't want them to do, things you haven't planned for. You're not ready until you're ready to go forward with a divorce. Please don't say the D word. If you are trying to warn somebody that you're concerned about the relationship and you want to get their attention and go to counseling or have something change in your marriage, discuss the thing that's bothering you. Don't threaten divorce as a device to get somebody to go to counseling. Because if you say the D word, people may take you seriously and go run and clear the bank accounts out and file a divorce case. You know, you don't know how people are going to react. So
right, exactly.
You're going to put things in motion that you don't have control over. And so by all means, don't say things like, I'm thinking about a divorce, I want a divorce. You're going to set a ball rolling that goes out of your control. So that's number one. Number two, talk to a skilled, qualified divorce attorney, preferably 2 or 3, to get a consultation in what you should do before you move forward, especially before you say the D word, so that you have good advice and you know how to get your ducks in a row before you get started, and you know what your goals are, you know if those are realistic, and you have an idea of how to accomplish those goals. So, and what the cost will be, both in time, money, and your emotional energy. So critical to have that and have a plan in place before you go forward. Number 3, part of that is having a plan, but gather your financial records, and the attorney will tell you what you need, but collect that stuff and have it ready, because the first thing that happens when you say the D word is people start grabbing financial documents and passwords and all kinds of things. So be ready for that to happen. That's why you don't want to say the D word. You want to be ready ahead of time, have your ducks in a row before the ball starts rolling. So plan for that. have a safe place for those documents to be stored, or scan them and keep them in a secure drive or a couple places. And then that helps you be prepared. Do you have anything else you tell potential clients, Rahul, about this?
Yeah. Just one other thing, just to kind of go with the last one you said was, if you have any precious jewelry or
Yeah.
precious metals, gold, silver, diamonds, watches that are of high value, cash in a safe, etc. Inventory all those things. Take pictures, and either keep them in a safe place or otherwise make sure that you count everything, you take record of everything that's there, because these things don't have a paper trail and they can
Yep.
disappear. And you go in and say, so and so, I had a Rolex Submariner and it's
Right.
missing now. It's a $10,000 watch, and it's like,
Right.
what are you talking about? We don't have a Rolex. You never had a Rolex.
Yeah, and you have like a picture of you wearing it, but no
Right.
receipts, no nothing.
Nothing. And oh yeah, remember we gave that away or traded it in. So it's as far-fetched as it sounds, you want inventory, everything to show that it existed as of a certain date. And
I've got a
so,
great. Can I
yeah.
tell a story about that
Yeah,
that I
please.
think is
Yeah, that's
great?
great.
So this is a great story because this has now happened 2 cases I've had over the years. A lady told me we had $100,000 in a safe and now it's gone. Well, what are you going to do about it? We have no proof of the cash. We have no way to know how much was really in there. And so you got nothing. So what she should have done, if she really, theoretically, she'd get half, either grab all of it and put it in the bank, or take half of it and put it somewhere safe, like a safe deposit box, if you really want to stay in cash.
Right.
And, because that's just going to disappear. So if you know
Right.
stuff like that exists, like Rahul said, get it secure. Now, look, they're going to figure out that, hey, half of the money's gone. So you got to be ready to roll when this stuff, like when you say the D word, that cash is gone. So you need to be ready to grab it and be all like your ducks in a row and go boom, 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 roll through that and be done. Because otherwise it's gone. The other, I'll take it a step further. A lady hired me and said, we have a condo in the city. So a lot of people have a house in the suburbs and they have like a place in downtown.
Right.
And these folks would spend weekends down there or whatever when their kids got older. And she said, I went over there and I think, he's having an affair and the girlfriend left, lingerie there. And that's how this guy got busted. But she said, also, I found a bunch of cash in the room. And she says, so I took pictures of it. So she sends me digital pictures of a bunch of cash laid out on a bed. And of course, she's like, well, now I went back and the cash is gone. Well, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
You got nothing.
What can I do with this info?
She's like, it was $10,000, whatever, well, so it doesn't look, I can't count it from looking at it on the bed in the picture. And, all she has is evidence that there's something hanky going on at the condo. But I mean, it was like, what are you going to do? So the thing is, the be prepared Boy Scout advice is great,
Yep, exactly.
So let's, before we go into this last segment, let's talk real quick, Rahul. How can people find you on social?
People can find me at Chicago Divorce on Instagram or on LinkedIn with my name.
Yeah, that's great. And then also you can find me at Rayford Palmer on most socials, TikTok, Insta. I'm at Rayford Palmer also on X. And then STG Divorce Law is the handle on Instagram and X for our law firm. And also we're really easy to find on YouTube, either searching our names or STG Divorce Law. We have tons of content there. The content for the law firm is focused on Illinois divorce, but then we have all of the history of all these podcasts are all there. This is episode 48. It's loaded with educational stuff and fun, entertaining things going all the way back to the beginning. We've talked about everything from prenups and postnups to custody, visitation, collaborative law, mediation, like the gamut. Everything is there. And you can look at the show notes and just search in our channel for what you're interested in and just cherry pick the things you want to hear about. So we try to talk about it in a way that's plain English and common sense, because we know this stuff can be confusing. And our mission is to entertain, but educate you about divorce so that you're a knowledgeable consumer of legal services and you know what you're getting into if you're considering a divorce. but you're able to make better decisions with your attorney, whether it's with us or someone else. So thanks a lot. And thanks for considering that. And also, please consider my book, I Just Want This Done: How Smart, Successful People Get Divorced Without Losing Their Kids, Money, and Minds. Available on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible, and where all great ebooks are sold. And I will show you. I should have had it ready. This is what it looks like. And it's hardcover, soft cover, whatever. And like I said, audiobook also. And my next book is coming out this quarter. It's I Just Want to Know: How Smart, Successful People Decide on Divorce Without Fear, Uncertainty, and Doubt. Just known as I Just Want to Know. It's for people that haven't decided about divorce and they're struggling with the decision. So that is forthcoming. More to come in that soon. So let's take a couple. We have a couple of listener questions, Rahul. First one, I'm going to ask you, parenting plan question. I'm in need of advice. My divorce is through for over half a year now, including the parenting plan. I just learned my ex violated our do not introduce significant others to your child. I'm doing air quotes here. Do not introduce significant others to your child for 6 months clause in our parenting agreement. What is my best course of action? Also, my primary motivation is to protect my child from attachment injury in case of them breaking up. Understandable. Ex-spouse seems somewhat amenable to remedying actions, so I wonder, what should I do?
So, I mean, I think, as a general concept, these are these sort of provisions that say don't introduce your child to your significant other for 6 months or a year or 18 months, whatever the case might be, is a little kind of bogus, frankly. For lack of a better word. I mean, it's nice. It's sort of like a, hey, don't do this. It's kind of like the boogeyman, but there's no real teeth to this. I mean, the cat's out of the box.
Or the bag.
Can't, or the bag, right? Yeah,
the
right.
cat's out of the litter box.
The cat's done its business out of the litter box. Yes,
We're already
bag,
well.
right.
And the other thing is, I call these aspirational clauses,
right?
And there's a bunch of them in parenting agreements, right?
Absolutely, yes. It's like saying, do the right thing, right? That's what it's basically saying. Don't introduce the kid, do the right thing. And that's what I really mean by bogus. I just kind of said that as a colloquial sort of casual statement. But
Rahul, isn't that similar to the don't badmouth the other parent kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, right, exactly. It's sort of like, you shouldn't badmouth the other parent, just like you should do what's right for the child. I mean, what's in the child's best interest, but you can't make the child forget that this happened. You can make sure it doesn't happen again by saying, look, this already happened, especially if the ex is, open to sort of remedying this. I mean, however that might be, this might also depend on the child's age, sort of what exposure the child has to certain things, etc. What you should do is make sure, you have an opportunity, I would say in the ideal situation, to meet this person and just to perhaps to say hi. Maybe she doesn't want you to, whatever, but at least you want to make sure that this person is not, quote unquote, a negative influence or bad. I mean, to the extent that that's possible, you have to trust that your ex is not going to put your child in harm's way by any means, especially if she is willing to sort of, be open to remedying it in some shape or form. But I don't think this is enough to bring her back to court or undo anything of that sense. I just don't think you have enough there to do it, frankly.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is the quote the guy provided, it was a man, not that it's relevant, but said, do not introduce significant others to the child for 6 months. Some provisions say that you have to introduce the significant other to the other parent or notify them first.
Right.
Kind of like indicating there's some kind of permission. By the way, don't agree to a provision like that. And
don't.
The other thing I want to say is these are two-way streets, and nobody thinks about that when they're in the middle of divorce. They say, I don't want them introducing a boyfriend to the kids inside 6 months. And lo and behold, they meet somebody 3 months out.
Right.
And they want to introduce the kids. And I'm not here to comment on whether that's a good idea or not.
Right.
Talk to counselors about that. But all of a sudden, the thing gets used against them.
Hey, how can I get around this? Right. That's what you always hear.
Yeah. and so you get hoist upon your own petard, to use the French term, you're blown up by your own grenade is what the translation. And so be careful about those. Those things are all two-way streets. We all like to think about it from our perspective, but it's important to take it, flip it around and say, how could this be used against me? And they say, oh, I'm not going to meet anybody. I'm not going to date anybody.
I don't plan on dating. Yeah, I'm not going to be dating anybody at all anytime soon. So no need to worry about that.
How many people have said, Rahul, to you when you're in a case, certainly in the beginning, I'm not going to marry anybody. I'm not going to date anybody. And then bammo,
Yeah. Right.
they,
A lot.
they end up getting remarried. Yeah.
Right.
And I have a theory about that, which is marrying people are the marrying type.
They want to be married.
You've already chosen to be married once. So there's something about that that is attractive to that person. And if you find the right next person, or you think they're right, you're probably going to do it again. And
yeah,
so anyway, it's interesting, but you sort of self-selected to have a predilection for being married.
Exactly.
You like the marriage state as it were.
Yeah.
So, no, that's a great point. And there are a bunch of these aspirational clauses in parenting agreements, and I get it. We understand. Judges don't know how to enforce these things. And are you going to spend $2,500, $5,000 dragging this to court and trying to prove this? And then what's the judge supposed to do?
Right.
Say, hey, don't do that again. Or
don't do it again.
What's the outcome? So,
and by the way, when you go back to court, they're going to start saying you're doing stuff that's bad.
Yeah, right.
And now you're kind of back in the whole litigation thing again. You're not going to, no one ever goes to court for like one thing in a vacuum ever.
Nope.
It's always tit for tat.
They get mad and then they remember the $2,000 you didn't pay back on the medical bill from 2 years ago. And now they file a cross motion, and now this thing turns into a big mess. And it's just,
or even something vague like child is saying that he doesn't want to, or he or she does not want to spend time with dad as much.
That's right.
It's like, oh, they don't feel comfortable at home, and so something's got to be done. And now you're like, what are you talking about? I haven't heard anything. And now you have a GAL invest. It's just like,
just
let it go.
People can be vindictive, and then this thing spirals. So you got to be careful. So next one, can you?
Let me see this one here.
One.
Yeah. So, question from a reader here, right? Would you agree, Rafe, on the terms of a divorce if the soon-to-be ex was willing to pay alimony for 10 years? They've been married for 15 years. He is willing. He meaning the soon-to-be ex is willing to give me, the spouse, half of what his retirement currently is now, but with the sale of the house at his age of 64, 65. Not out of his retirement. We will have everything in writing, but reviewed by an attorney and finalized through court. What do you think about that?
So I have to make a couple assumptions because a lot of times people don't give us enough detail in the questions.
Yeah.
So let's assume this is a fair split of they're talking about a 50-50 asset split. Let's just say that's what's going on. Let's also assume the alimony is fair and correct. So setting all that aside, the concept is he's going to give me half of his retirement, but not out of his retirement now. He wants to sell his house in the future and give me the money out of it then.
Okay. That's kind of how I read it too. Yeah.
That's how I read it. Yeah, thanks. And so we don't know. I don't know how old these people are. So it says at his age, 64 to 65, but it's safe enough to just say it's to the future. Okay. The short answer is don't do this. For a couple reasons. One is, I guarantee you're going to get in litigation. First of all, what if he doesn't sell the house? Now what are we going to wait? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, never? What's going to happen? Is this guy going to die? We don't know what's going to happen. So we've delayed real resolution of this case into some indefinite point in the future. You're entitled to half of the assets now. What are you going to pay interest for? Basically you're loaning him that money effectively for X amount of time. What if he doesn't sell the house? What if it sells for way below value? The market crashes. Now what are we going to do? Where are you going to get the money? You're left with a bunch of litigation post decree, which is after the divorce, on your hands, and you shouldn't have. And you're going to pay for that, and you shouldn't have to. The other problem is that's not the accurate value. If you're taking half of the retirement account in a tax deferred account, you will normally get it rolled over into another tax deferred IRA or like 401k with all the advantages that provides you. If you take it in cash out of this house, that money's not in a retirement account. And it's not dollar for dollar. It's never going to be a correct, equal, fair match. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why this is a bad deal.
And you can't use the money now. I mean, if you had a desire to, take out of a retirement account or something, I mean, you would obviously, depending on your circumstance, incur taxes, penalties, fees, whatever. But notwithstanding, You can't deploy it.
My question is, what's good about this for her? So I
Right.
say,
Brother, brother,
Exactly.
we had to do this.
what's
Yeah.
that, brother?
So I had to use the meme for you guys that are hip to these
Yes.
things. So I would say, what's that? Why would we do that? What's her advantage? I
What am
see
I
no-
getting out of it? Right.
Yeah,
What's
there's no benefit.
What's in it for me? Is the question you should be asking.
Yeah, no, you're
If
okay. It's okay to be selfish when you're getting divorced. You got to look out for yourself, okay?
Well, it's not even being selfish or not selfish, but it's just about sort of leveling the playing field. Okay,
right.
well, he gets to live in the house for a couple more years before selling it. Okay, great. If we do that, what am I getting?
Right.
Because right now, you're putting weights on a balance here. So you've put an extra, weight on yours. What are
Right.
we going to put on mine to sort of equalize this and level it out again?
Exactly.
Give me something, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll think about it. But just sort of giving this to you, which is not of any benefit to me, and it might actually be an impediment to me, for nothing in return. It's got to be a, quid pro quo, as they say.
Yeah. So that's our 2 cents on that. Avoid, is the gist. So moving on from listener questions, we always like to talk about our dating stuff because, hey, new year, new you. Maybe you're out on you're a man about town, as it were, and you're looking for a nice lady, or you're a lady looking for a nice guy, or whatever. What are the dating habits, Rahul, to ditch in 2026 before they ruin your year?
So this is a January 8th, 2026 article in the goodmenproject.com website. 5 dating habits to ditch in 2026.
We always have to have the
Before they-
listicle, the
right.
list article. Here we go.
Exactly. Before they ruin your year, of course, is what the article says.
Okay.
Number 1, we'll kind of go through these and then, you guys can look at the article and read, specific details. But number 1, tolerating endless ambiguity or situationships. It's one of those where you don't need to define everything on the first date or even the first month, as the article
Right.
says. But around the 3-month mark, you should have clarity. Either you're on the same page about what this is, or you're not. You don't want to sort of be straddling two things here where you're either serious or not serious, just kind of doing it because you want there to be direction. So
If you paid for 3 expensive dinners in a row and nothing's happening, you got to think about what George Bush said.
mhm.
It fooled me. We can't get fooled again.
Oh, wait.
Fooled
Here we
me
go.
once.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
That's it.
Yeah. So number 2, relying solely on dating apps and endless swiping. The article says, swipe fatigue is real. So is the quiet brain fog from hours of scrolling. Apps are okay, but you also want something organic, really, is what it essentially comes down to. Number 3, chasing high drama excitement.
Dun, dun, dun.
Anxiety isn't chemistry, essentially, is what it says. That's not excitement. That's anxiety chasing crumbs of dopamine, according to the article.
Oh,
And
what's wrong with dopamine?
I think it's
Well,
dopamine. Great.
if you're in the club,
Up with it, girl. Rock
Yeah,
with it, girl.
that's
See
that's
how them
dopamine.
it, girl. With a bang bang.
all right.
Number 4, hiding our real selves to seem cool or mysterious. Just be who you are.
This is what I
See
do
where it
all the
goes.
time.
Yeah.
This is
You
nothing
know,
wrong
if-
with this. I disagree with some of these points, Rahul.
James Bond, right? Is what it says. If I show too much, they'll leave. Well, if that's really true, then maybe don't show too much. Like that guy with the Star Wars thing. we talked
Correct. I
about.
was going to say thank you. And the Labubus.
The
and
Labubus. Yep.
if you're
Yep.
if you're into trains, and I collect trains, you can't tell the ladies about the trains on the first date. You got to get her. She's got to get into you first before you roll out your weird guy hobbies.
Yep.
You got to hold off.
Number 5, letting insecurities turn us into the crazy version of ourselves. The long
Oh.
paragraph text at 2 a.m., checking socials obsessively, showing up unannounced, or posting subtle stories, hoping they notice. Don't do it. That's for anybody, really. It doesn't have to be just in a dating world. Don't do that kind of stuff. It's just
Don't like all of their
lame.
posts on Insta.
Yeah,
You look
that's
desperate.
lame. Exactly.
That's great.
You don't have to turn every rejection into a dramatic storyline or a deep personal failure. Sometimes it just means this person wasn't my person.
That's right. Keep on trucking.
Yep,
Plenty of
keep
fish in the
on
sea,
trucking.
folks.
Yep.
My dad always said you can't make them love you, and that's the truth. And so you just keep moving till you find your person. They're out there.
Exactly.
There's more than one out there. You just have to go fishing enough. So
Mhm.
there you go. So Rahul, let's wrap up the show here. We've got,
Okay.
want to remind you, we are both employed by STG Divorce Law in Chicago and the suburbs.
Great.
We're here to help smart, successful people get divorced, or you're employed by Polo, Ralph Lauren. So we help smart, successful people get divorced better. And we're in Chicago in the suburbs, stglawfirm.com. And always remember, we're here for you every week with the I Just Want This Done Divorce podcast. We'll be back with Blaine Anderson next week. Remember, don't miss 11 a.m. Central Time next Thursday, the 15th, Blaine Anderson live for her interview about dating and matchmaking and her stories. And then, of course, our show will drop tomorrow from last week. So our next pod will drop tomorrow, then the recorded show next Friday after the live stream on Thursday. So we're really excited about that. And we invite questions and comments from you. Please drop them in the show when you look at the show notes. Please like our show on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That helps us know we're doing the right thing. Please subscribe, because if you don't sub to the show, Apple and these podcast platforms don't really register us as a thing unless we get subscribers. So if you like the show, please subscribe and like. It's really important for us to get the message that we're doing the right thing. And give us comments. What would you like to see more of? You like to see less of? How can we help you better? Thanks very much, everybody. We wish you a very excellent 2026. Take care.